Have you ever wondered if growing older is not the slow fading of a human life, but rather the quiet beginning of the deepest awakening? For so long, the world has imposed a narrow script about aging upon us. They tell us that we should step back, speak less, shrink our presence, and live only through memories instead of dreams. Youth is regarded as the peak, while everything that follows is seen as a long slide downward. However, Buddhist wisdom reveals a much more compassionate truth. Old age is not the end of your growth, but the ripening of everything life has tempered within you. This is the season where you no longer need to compete, prove, or compare. You have journeyed through storms and warm sunny days, holding both joy and pain in the same hands. Now, you enter a chapter, not for striving, but for seeing clearly. You are not becoming less. You are becoming pure, essential, and wise. This video is not about resisting time, but about how to be present within it, with depth, softness, and purpose. Therefore, listen very slowly. Let each concept soak into the quiet spaces of your heart. Your life still holds beauties waiting to be discovered right now. Lesson 1. Let go of old baggage for a lighter soul. The first lesson we need to learn is the art of letting go. In the Buddhist worldview, letting go is never a sign of weakness or surrender. On the contrary, it is one of the purest forms of courage. It is the bravery to stop carrying things that your heart no longer has the strength to hold. As we grow older, life itself begins to reveal true values by gently stripping away what is no longer important. The things we once clung to so tightly throughout our youth, such as social roles, stubborn expectations, or weary ambitions, eventually become too heavy to continue justifying. Imagine your mind is like a room that you have filled with furniture over many decades. There are items that are extremely precious, like moments of love, hard-won lessons, and memories that warm the soul. But there are also many other things gathering dust in hidden corners that you may not have noticed for a long time. These are the resentments you have replayed in your head thousands of times, the late regrets that have never changed the past, or the obligations you reluctantly accepted just out of a sense of guilt. You have tried to please so many people only to find that now they crowd your inner space, leaving no room for peace to sit down and rest. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that clinging is the root of all suffering. We often hurt once from the actual experience, but then cause ourselves pain for many more years because of the memories we refuse to release. True freedom does not begin when life becomes easier. It starts the moment we actively loosen our grip on whatever is draining our life force. Right now, ask yourself gently, what am I still carrying that exhausts me? Which memory has become heavier than this very reality? Whom am I trying to make happy at the cost of my own joy? These questions are not meant to cause judgment, but are doors opening toward clarity. Start with the smallest things. Forgive someone who may never apologize to you, doing so not for them but for your own tranquility. Boldly give up a responsibility that no longer aligns with your heartbeat. Give away an old item you keep only out of habit rather than love. Release a story about yourself that no longer fits who you are today. The ego always clings because it fears emptiness, but the soul understands that emptiness is simply space for the presence of light. Letting go is not loss, but a choice. You are choosing peace over heaviness, choosing clarity over chaos. You are choosing yourself gently and without a hint of guilt. The less you hold on to, the more freely and serenely you will walk through this life. Lesson 2. Protect your peace through connections. After clearing the room of your mind through letting go, we move to the next important lesson regarding interaction with the world around us. There comes a time in life when you will understand a simple truth that not everyone deserves to have the key to enter your peaceful space. In our younger years, many of us tried to endure beyond the limits of what our hearts could carry. We maintained toxic or exhausting relationships simply out of obligation, or tried to keep the peace by neglecting our own needs. Back then, the fear of loneliness was often greater than the fear of losing ourselves. But old age brings a quiet wisdom. You begin to realize that emotional harmony is worth far more than formal attachment. A room full of people means nothing if your soul feels empty inside it. In Buddhism, we have the concept of Sangha, which is not necessarily a noisy crowd, but a nourishing circle. A true community is not measured by quantity, but by the quality of energy it brings to your life. Sometimes that circle is just one soulmate, or even simply your own presence. Anyone who brings tranquility instead of chaos, who knows how to listen instead of judge, and who sees your current self rather than the labels of your past, is someone worth keeping close. At this stage, you have a profound power to choose who is allowed to sit at your emotional banquet. You can love a relative or an old friend from a distance, wishing them well without necessarily welcoming them back into your daily life. You can pray for their path without letting their storms flood into your world. Love does not always require physical proximity, and peace certainly does not. Remember this truth that if a relationship costs you your peace, the price is too high. You have paid enough with stress and sacrifice over the years. You no longer owe anyone access to your inner world just because they once played a certain role in your past. You deserve connections that provide a sense of safety, like being at home, where you do not have to explain or shrink yourself to be accepted. At this age, choose quality over quantity. Choose silence over meaningless noise, because your energy is now a sacred treasure. Lesson 3. Returning to reality to touch the miracle of life. The past is now only a memory, and the future remains a realm of imagination. The only truly real moment that belongs to you is right now. Yet as time passes, our minds often tend to drift backward to reenact old scenes, getting entangled in what should have happened, or immersing themselves in regrets that cannot be rewritten. When not looking back, the mind launches itself into uncertain tomorrows, weaving stories shaped more by fear than by reality. Buddhist wisdom gently interrupts this loop with the reminder not to dwell in the past, and not to dream of the future, but to focus the mind on the present moment. Think of the past as a vast library with shelves filled with the chapters of your life. There are beautiful chapters. There are painful chapters, but all of them carry their own meaning. You can visit those shelves when you need understanding or perspective, but you were never destined to live there forever. As for the future, it is a novel that the mind is sketching with ink made of hope and anxiety. But the present is what is solid, truthful, and alive. Presence is not about forcing yourself to always be grateful or pretending that every moment is profound. It is simply about allowing this moment to exist as it is, without judgment, without comparison, and without wishing it were different. There is a small but powerful exercise which is to bring your mind to where your body exists. If you are walking, truly walk. If you are savoring tea, feel its flavor. If you are watching the sunlight shine through the window, let yourself truly see it. These ordinary things will become extraordinary when you truly witness them. One of the hidden gifts of old age is the ability to pay attention to what youth often rushes past. The softness of the dawn, the warmth of a cup in your palms, or the characteristic stillness of the late afternoon air, all become treasures when you have enough wisdom to slow down. You may not choose every event that happens, but you can choose to return to the only place where life actually takes place, which is this breath, this heartbeat, in this very moment. If these reflections bring you peace, spread that by a small gesture of support, so this wisdom can touch those who are in need. Lesson 4. Befriending change and accepting the law of impermanence. Everything in this world is constantly changing, from your body and relationships to your life priorities, and even the way you understand yourself. All shift along the stream of time. Impermanence is not a flaw in the design of creation. It is the core essence of life. However, this truth often becomes sharper and more painful as we enter our twilight years. One day, you look in the mirror and notice the reflected face no longer matches the version you have long held in your mind. The people you love may gradually drift away or suddenly disappear, and the roles you once proudly held begin to dissolve. In the silence that follows, you may ask yourself, who am I now? Buddhist wisdom offers a liberating answer, that you are not the things that are changing, you are the awareness witnessing those changes. When you stop identifying yourself with shifting circumstances, a deep peace will bloom. The world may turn, the body may age, but the observer of it all remains steady and vast. Look at life through the lens of the 4 seasons. Spring buds, summer radiates, autumn lets go, and winter rests. Each season is temporary yet absolutely essential. Old age is the winter of human life, a season not for decay, but for refinement. This is when the noise subsides, clarity takes the lead, and what is unnecessary naturally falls away. Winter is quiet but profoundly sacred, for without it, nothing could bloom again. Instead of resisting transitions, try practicing the naming of truth. Whenever something shifts, from your health to your relationships, pause and whisper that it is changing. Naming it helps loosen resistance, and as resistance fades, suffering begins to vanish. Acceptance does not mean giving up or resignation. It means acknowledging reality without letting it disturb your inner balance. It is about trading bitterness for gratitude. Instead of lamenting that I used to be able to do that, try saying I am grateful I can still do this. This small shift in perspective opens the heart instead of closing it. When you stop struggling against the law of impermanence, life becomes much lighter. You realize that every fleeting moment is precious precisely because it will not last forever. If everything stood still, there would be no beauty or meaning in the experiences we cherish. Embrace impermanence as a gentle reminder that every breath is a priceless gift. The more you harmonize with change, the more free and vibrant you become. Lesson 5. Finding meaning through gratitude and simple joys. Modern society often praises productivity, the constant drive to act, achieve, and accumulate accomplishments. We are framed within the idea that a meaningful life must be built upon milestones and titles, as if human value could be measured like numbers on a timeline. But Buddhist wisdom directs us toward a completely different path. Meaning does not arise from doing more, but from perceiving more. It is the recognition of the fullness and beauty already present in your life. Many people spend their entire youth chasing the next goals, the milestones they believe will finally bring happiness when reached. In that rush, they forget to enjoy the very life they are passing through. Years go by, and only later do they realize they were merely busy existing instead of truly living. Authentic happiness has never hidden within extraordinary events. Buddhism teaches that real joy is found in simplicity, and in those ordinary moments we often miss because we consider them too small to matter. A warm cup of tea in your hands, a cool breeze gently brushing against your face, a sincere conversation, or the familiar comfort of the room where you wake up each morning. Gratitude transforms these mundane things from faint background noise into radiant blessings. Try a small exercise where every night before sleep, You recall 3 tiny things that made you feel appreciative during the day. They do not need to be grand achievements, just small sparks of kindness, like the taste of a dish you love, a hearty laugh, or the way sunlight reflects on the floor. When you name these joys, the mind naturally heals itself from the sense of lack and shifts into a state of abundance. Instead of looking at what is missing, you begin to see what is present. It is time to stop asking, "What have I achieved?" and start asking, "How deeply have I lived today?" At the end of a long life, what stays with you are not trophies or titles, but the moments when your heart was truly awake to feel existence. Old age brings the ability to see miracles tucked inside the most ordinary days. When there are no longer distractions or the pressure to prove oneself, the beauty of small things becomes clearer than ever. Simple joy requires no effort. It only needs an open heart to receive the sacredness in every moment. Lesson 6. Living with compassion to leave a legacy of love. Upon reaching a certain threshold in life, a quiet question often rises within each of us, asking, "What will remain when I am no longer present in this world?" The ego often tries to answer with titles, status, or tangible success. But Buddhist wisdom brings a much more compassionate and enduring truth. Your true legacy is the compassion you leave behind in the hearts of those around you. Compassion is not merely kindness. It is the ability to look at another human being and recognize the common connection between us. It is the understanding of the fears, hopes, and silent battles they are going through. It is the softening of the heart and the willingness to give warmth without expecting anything in return. However, as we grow older, a paradox often occurs where many people become tolerant of others but extremely harsh with themselves. They carry old mistakes like heavy stones, judging their aging bodies and looking back at past decisions with regret instead of tenderness. Authentic compassion must begin from within, for you cannot pour water from an empty jar. Try practicing a profound Buddhist exercise where whenever you meet someone, whether a loved one, a stranger, or even someone who makes you uncomfortable, silently repeat that, "Just like me, this person wants to be happy. Just like me, this person is suffering. Just like me, this person deserves to have peace." These words will dissolve invisible walls, turning conflict into understanding and distance into connection. Compassion shows itself through the smallest gestures, such as listening without interrupting or judging, or choosing a gentle tone instead of grumbling. It is the warm smile you give to someone feeling abandoned, or the forgiveness you grant to someone who may never apologize. These small actions will resonate much longer than any material assets you could leave behind. Your quiet presence itself carries healing power. When you respond with warmth and choose a peaceful lifestyle, you become a reminder that kindness still exists. The world does not remember the noise. It only remembers the patience and warmth of souls who chose to live softly. Your inner peace will naturally radiate outward and touch others in ways you may never fully know. It is that light of compassion that is the legacy lasting forever through time.